I've been a broke filmmaker. I know exactly what it feels like to have rejection after rejection and have businesses just not believe in you, to lack the confidence to make sales and charge what you're really worth, and not knowing when or where that next project is coming from and if you're going to have enough money this month to pay your bills. And I went from that to running a successful video production company here in the UK, employing a team of people and working for global brands all over the world. But that journey was a long road of trial and error. I had to learn from my mistakes and I had to try and avoid those pitfalls along the way, which is why I want to share with you some actionable key steps that I would take if I was starting over again, so that more filmmakers like you can master client acquisition and start to build some profitability and predictability inside their businesses, and ultimately start taking back control of their company and not feeling like they have lack of confidence and not knowing what to do next in their own business. Now, like it or not, the success of a business always revolves around its ability to make sales. So my first point, if I ever found myself in a hard situation again, or was just completely starting out, my business has to be focused around one question. And that is, at every decision I make, does it move me towards my goal or further away from it? By asking this question at every stage will make sure that your business is staying on track. And if you are currently struggling with finances or clients generating revenue for your business, then the first thing I have to look at is that sales process. And I have to ask myself the question, am I doing everything I can right now to make sales, or could I be doing more? Maybe you lack confidence, maybe you lack the knowledge, but hopefully this video will help you overcome both of those. So the first thing I would do is I would literally be straight on the phone and I would be phoning everyone that I'd ever done work for. And I would just be saying stuff to them like, just want to touch base with you to see, what your plans are for video, next year, or what your plans are currently for marketing. If there's any ways that we could work back together, I would be just trying to find out how could I warm up that pipeline? How could I utilize people that have already used me in the past and hopefully enjoyed what I did? And how could I potentially bring them back on board? So many filmmakers that I deal with, I spend a lot of the time focusing on new sales actually, and they forget to utilize their existing network and keep them coming back to you, because it does take a lot of effort to get a new client. But let's say I was starting out and I've literally got no portfolio. I haven't, spoken to anyone or done work for anyone in the past. Then the first thing I would do is I would head straight over to Google and I would type in an industry or a business that I think could benefit from my services and the kind of work that I would want to do. So let's say it was construction. I go straight over to Google, type in construction companies in my area, see what popped up, and every single website that came up for those construction companies, I would be clicking on every single one of them and I would be making a phone call to them. I would introduce myself. I would say that, I'm starting out as a filmmaker. And actually I went over a lot of this in a video series that I did on this channel called Starting a Video Production Company Again from Scratch. So if you haven't seen it, go and take a look at that, because that's got loads of valuable information about how I actually handled those sales calls. But let's say I'm not confident in actually making phone calls or just ringing up businesses and just, introducing myself and trying to make a sale, or perhaps that's not working for you right now. Therefore, I'd be looking to do two other things. One is face-to-face meetings, and the second is email or direct message. With face-to-face meetings, I'd be looking to go to local events, networking, trade shows. Now, even networking events, even if you have to pay to become a member, they normally allow you to go a couple of times for free to see if you like the group. Then that way you can work out if it's the right group for you, and you might even win some business just from going to a free session. I actually know someone that went to multiple networking events, never paid, and actually generated a lot of business by doing so. I'd be turning up at trade shows and local events to have a chat with businesses who have stands and stalls and are exhibiting at these places. Because if they're exhibiting, then they understand about the importance of getting their brand out there. And that's exactly what you can offer for their business in terms of video production. Now, let's say you've got no way of travel, so you can't do networking, you're not confident enough to pick up the phone, then the final thing that I would be looking at in sales would be email strategies or direct messaging. Both uses a very similar form. Direct messaging, you can use things like Instagram, TikTok, depending on where your ideal customer is. Perhaps that's maybe even LinkedIn. And I would just be messaging those ideal customers. And what we mean by an ideal customer is just pinpointing who are we talking to. Are we going after construction, restaurant, hotels, or sports? what industry first, and then who do we need to talk to within that industry. And spoiler alert, if you're in video marketing, then you're going to want to speak to the marketing manager or the business owner, because they're the people who are the decision makers within the company. They hold the purse strings, and they're the ones that have the ability to say yes to you. However, if you're doing enough of that, you should start to see some sales. But maybe that comes from a place of confidence in knowing my ability. And there are a few other factors that are going to really come into play when it comes to a potential client or a prospect, someone who is thinking about working with you, saying yes, that they want to go ahead with your services. And the first thing they're going to be thinking about is, can you deliver on what you're saying that you can deliver? So when you're telling them that you can, do X, Y, Z, how can you show that? How can you prove that? So for me, I'd be looking at building out that portfolio. And if I was broke and had no paying money and had no portfolio and I was starting again, then the first strategy I would implement is a free to fee strategy. This means that we do free work for people in our ideal customer industries, and we carry out that free work with a view to do some paid work at a later date. And the important thing here is not just doing free services for the sake of doing free stuff. It's actually about starting that conversation on the right foot and saying, I'm willing to do a free video to show you that I'm happy to take the risk. So we've done risk reversal on this channel before, where we talk about the importance of saying, well, look, if you don't like the video, you don't have to pay for it. It's a way for you to build your portfolio while also taking the risk out of their hands. You can do a good job, and they're going to like the video, so they're going to pay for it. They don't get to use the video if they don't like it. So it's actually a really easy thing where you, as a beginner or as a broke filmmaker, someone in need to make a sale, can actually use that as a bit of a leveraging tool, that kind of risk reversal. But if I don't have a portfolio, this free to fee model starts on the premise that I'm happy to do this project for free for you if we can discuss future projects down the line that would of course go back to being paid for. It's a good way through the door. We've had a lot of members on our academy, and to give you an idea, we have over 500 members worldwide. A third of them are from the US, a third are from the UK, and the third make up the rest of the world combined. And we have a lot of beginners, people who had just had a dream of starting a videography business, didn't know where to start, and we focus on the business side of filmmaking. So what we do is we implement these systems and procedures in a lot more detail, and we work with those guys to enable them to utilize these methods. And they've used the free to fee strategy as a key way of getting new clients, which leads on to paid work and really gets their business off the ground. Another strategy you could think of is a swap strategy. So leveraging your skill set for something in return. For instance, I really like watches. We did some work for a watch company where they sent us thousands of pounds worth of watches because they said that they were a product-rich, cash-poor business, meaning they didn't really have the cash to pay, but they did have a lot of products. So we were happy to do a swap on that basis, creating a couple of 30-second videos for them in return for these market value of a few £1,000s worth of watches. And then I was able to gift them, and I was also able to sell some of them to make some money as well. So really just leveraging the skill set and what I could offer to that brand. The problem where most filmmakers go wrong is they end up just doing lots of everything. So the key here is to pick an industry and also just to pick a type of video that you're going to do. Because ultimately, when you're talking to all of these people, if you go back to the sales point that I made earlier on, in that stage, we're having lots of conversations. They're then thinking, well, show me something. So you're going to want to show them something that's in relation to their line of work, or at least the type of video that you're proposing. It's fine for you to propose a testimonial video and it to be for a different industry, but it wouldn't be good to show a testimonial video of someone in the food and restaurant business to a construction worker who wants a brand video for their website. So again, we want to ask ourselves that question: does this move us towards where we want to go, i.e. getting some paid work, or does it move us further away? So we want to be very specific, especially if we're doing stuff for free, the type of work that we need to build out in our portfolio. That's going to ultimately give you a track record, and it's going to give you social proof, and it's also going to give you some confidence to confidently say that I can do a really good job here. I know I can help you, and that's why there's a charge along with our service. Now, it's very possible that a lot of you already have got a really good portfolio. You probably are already doing some sales things. In my experience, a lot of people aren't doing enough, but you're probably already doing some of those things, and you're just not having much luck with signing some clients. Perhaps you blame things like the time of the year, or you blame things like, oh, well, maybe it's just not right time, or things like that. We have to look inwardly and again, ask ourselves the question, are we doing everything we can to get a sale? And that really shows you how desperate you are or how focused and determined you are to make this a success. There is no doubt that the most successful people in the world are the most determined people, the people who don't give up. They won't take no for an answer. They will start to work with people that say no and say, well, look, let me follow up with you in a few months' time. And they make sure that they are constant communication. So when that opportunity does arise, they're ready. Success is where opportunity meets preparation. And for me, this next stage of getting out of that kind of broke filmmaker hole that you're in, or even if you're just starting new, the way that you can scale really quick is by learning from others. Now, of course, we put out so much free content on this YouTube channel, but there's been a number of really influential audiobooks that I've read, and obviously they're relatively cheap as well. So the first one is The E-Myth. I would suggest going to take a look at that. That's fantastic about business. There is Rich Dad, Poor Dad, $100 Million Offers, and Infinite Game. Those ones, along with many other books that I've read, really do help you surround yourself with people who understand business. Because at the end of the day, every business, no matter what industry it's in, is run in a very similar way. It is focused on some key areas, from sales being the most important, marketing kind of links in with that. You've then got operations, so that's you actually doing the doing stuff. And then you've got finance. And then obviously as you grow your business, you have lots of different departments. But you need to have a grip on your finances and know what they're doing. I'm sure you do. That's why you clicked on this video, right? Because you're probably struggling a little bit with that. Operations, you probably spend a lot of time in your business and not working on your business. You're doing the doing, but actually you need to work on growing your business. And that's where the sales element comes in. And linked in with that is marketing. Now, sales and marketing is kind of longer term strategy, waiting for people to come to you. Sales, typically more of an outbound strategy. You're going out there to make the sale happen. Again, if I was in this position, I know that I would scale my business so much quicker second time round, or if we got into any hardship, I know that I would be able to get us back out that water quickly, because I'm going to go straight into a sales approach and always asking myself that question: does this help move us towards? Is this thing that I'm doing right now, is that moving me towards or further away or staying stationary? Because we always want to be moving forward in business. So I would invest not in stuff, in camera equipment, in Black Friday offers. I would invest in my education, because ultimately that's going to be long term. You hold that knowledge for the rest of your life, no matter what you go on to do. That's useful as an employee. That's useful to run any type of business. So I would invest in that education. And it's not actually until much later on down the line, spending tens of thousands in courses and programs and mentors and masterminds, I've really started to understand how important investment is into business knowledge and surrounding yourself with the right people. So let's say you're in this situation and you're sitting there watching this video and you're saying, Ross, I do sales, I go to networking events, I do all of these things. I have built out my portfolio. I've tried fee to fee. I've tried swap. I've invested in, online books and podcasts, and I've listened to people, and I just can't seem to make it work. Then there's normally one fundamental challenge here, and that's around skill set and pricing. Sometimes people can be really overambitious. They're not very good, but they charge a lot of money. So to a potential customer, they're going to see a disconnect. You're not going to align on budget because they don't think you're backing it up. More often than not, I actually see super, super talented people who have an amazing portfolio, and they struggle because actually they're not charging enough. So even when they do get a project in, it doesn't take that long. Their bank balance goes to here, and then it doesn't take very long for it to whittle away and they're back to zero, and they're panicking about that next bit of work. Pricing is tricky because it really matters about where you're geographically located. For instance, people in the US can charge way more than I can charge in my production company right now because of the geographical location. The industries that you're in, they have a big impact on how much you can charge, what's normal for that industry, and also the level of client you're dealing with. If you're dealing with a multi-million-pound business, they're probably going to have higher budgets than just a small local shop. And finally, pricing also comes round to your confidence. How confidently can you charge that and convince someone that, that's exactly what's going to help them solve their problem? Because ultimately a client or a potential client is always weighing that up in their mind. They're weighing up, does this person get me one step further away from my goal or towards my goal, right? They want to move towards their goal as well. And even though an investment into your services will temporarily move them away from their revenue goal. They know that in the long term, in a few months' time, once the video has been completed and implemented and it's, on their website, or they use it as a sales tool, that will actually help slingshot them towards their goal. And it's a bit like that with education as well. It's quite easy for someone to part way, spending £1,000 or £500 or however many dollars on a lens or some camera equipment, because it's tangible. I pay some money, I get a product almost instantly or the next day. The problem with education is you invest your money, you have to learn it, and then you have to implement it. But those people who do invest and they do implement it and they listen and they're determined to make their business work are the ones that always succeed. They're the success stories that you see on our website, because those people understand that although it temporarily moves them away from their revenue goals, long term, it moves them much further ahead at a much quicker pace. If you feel that skill set is your lack, honestly, I would be out there every single day, because it always goes back to, why did I start a business? Because I love creating content. I love making films. I love doing work for businesses. I love creating awesome stuff. So I'd still be doing this if it didn't work out. I'd start up again and try and make it work out. I just have to adapt it. And that's what business always is. It's always about adapting, overcoming, moving forward, but always bring it back to the reason that you started, or perhaps you're thinking about starting. And that's, make sure you have a job that you love. Make sure you enjoy it every day. And sometimes when hard times come around, going back to that enjoyment level is when you have the best ideas and opportunities do present themselves. So I would be out there every day developing my skill set, filming, editing, learning. Let me know what you guys think if you found this video useful. I do actually check literally all of my comments and I try and reply to as many of them as possible. So make sure you leave a comment below if you do like this. And if you're not subscribed, then this is the type of value that we give on our channel. Make sure you go and check out this video right here where I started a production company from scratch. I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Peace.